Suppose I wanted to isolate all of those calls that are within 1 mile of a hospital. So this would be a select by location. So in this case, I want to see my hospitals and my EMS calls. I don't need to see my fire stations. So from the table of contents, I'm going to turn my fire stations off. Now suppose in this case that I was really only concerned with one hospital. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to select this particular hospital here. Now again, I want to make sure that that is highlighted on the select by, or the list by selection menu. So hospitals is selected and I'm going to click on it. And you can see that in this case I'll use an interactive selection tool. You can see that it's selected. Accidentally I grabbed a 911 call, so I'll reposition it. Now let's say that I wanted to find all of the calls that were within 1 mile of that location. The first thing that I want to do is isolate this particular location from the rest of the hospital layers. The way to do that, you'll notice in the list by selection menu that one feature has been selected from the Baltimore City Hospitals layer. With a right mouse click, I can go to the selection menu and I can make a layer from the selected features. You'll see then that a new layer is added, which is the Baltimore City Hospitals selection. With that isolated, I'm going to clear my selection. With that done, you'll notice that only the selected and isolated hospital is showing up. Now I'm going to do the select by location for that particular hospital. I click on the select by location icon, which brings up the geoprocessing tool for select by location. In this case, the input feature is going to be what I want to have selected. Well, I want my calls to be selected within 1 mile of the hospital. So I'm going to change my input features to Baltimore EMS calls. The relationship that I want to the hospital, and the hospital will be my selecting feature, is I want all of the calls that are within a distance of 1 mile. With that done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run it. After I run the select by location, I see the calls that are within 1 mile of the hospital. I can then isolate those calls. You'll see that 194 calls were the result of that. I can isolate those calls by right mouse clicking on that layer, going to the selection tab, and making a layer from the selected features. Once I have the EMS calls that I've selected, I can turn all the other calls off, and what remains will be the calls that I have identified as being 1 mile from that hospital.